Hello fellow people of the internet, this is Gaupnekaren, and welcome to my first ever review! If you couldn't tell, I'm playing Rayman 2 for the PS2. It will be a different series, in comparison to my opinions of series, but not really, no. I hope you all enjoy what you see, so let's get started. I should begin the video by saying this. Rayman 2 Revolution is one of my favorite games of all time. This is not a joke. It's probably the game I revisited the most. And many people have declared this, or another version of the game, as the best 3D platformer of all time. But why though? Why is this game so good? You can probably tell due to my usage of words and I don't know the answer. And why wouldn't I? I played this game for about 10 years. And for so much time I could just name about every difference in each version. And damn it. So long time and feels so goddamn old. Just so you know, I will have the voice acting enabled. In the originals they were more like a Banjo-Kazooie kind of gibberish. They attempted the voice acting for the first time in Rayman 2 on the PS1, but that's a review for another time. And if you want to hear my opinion of that right now, there is a Let's Play I did of that version. So if you'd like, you're obliged to view that. Shameless promotion is shameless. And yeah, I'll be talking mostly about this version. However, I will address the changes compared to other versions, so at least that is clear. However, story time! In the world, things are gone to shit. Roboparts, as they're called, have destroyed some sort of energy core, shattering said energy core into 1,000 bombs. After that, Rayman loses his powers, and is thrown into a sky jail / prison ship along with thousands of slaves. Neat. Then we have the opening scene, where someone is talking about sending you help. Then we see a blue abomination, known as Clawbox, being dragged into a cell. And surprise surprise, it's Rayman's cell. Also neat. After a short happy reunion, the thingamajig known as Rayman gets all depressed due to everything I said moments ago. But then we get the plot twist so big, it's mind-blowing. The blue abomination is the help. He had the silver lamp down in the tummy, given to him by the fairy. And this restores Rayman's powers, barely, but enough to escape. Okay, Rayman has gotten some power back. How will he get out of this one? Will he sneak out in a stealth sequence? Will he attempt to take them all down at once? Or will he break out via an obvious exit?
And the answer may surprise you.
The winner is number 3! Congratulations! But seriously, I kinda like it. You start off with half your max self. And then, after destroying the obvious cooling vents, or something, you grab red lumps, which restore your health, in a sliding section. So that's nice. We slide to the edge, and Mr. Abomination accidentally, in quotes there, pushes Rayman off the edge with his crutch, causing Rayman to fall along with Glowbox. Somehow they get split up. I don't know how. And after Rayman tries to shout for the blue abomination to appear, you meet the game's Navi, named Murphy. He tells you how the game and certain mechanics work, and then leaves. Then you're introduced to the 2 main collectibles in the game. Those are the cages and the yellow lumps. I'll talk more about them as time goes on though. After changing the sound settings, we meet some crying smaller abomination that say that Glowbox is their dad. I won't make a comment on Glowbox being a father, it's a nice big fun. But I'm not going to say SHUT UP! Seriously, crying is the only thing doing harm here. I think that kid should hide since the pirates apparently took the ferry for some cave-like place. They're gonna doom us all! But then we go into this cave-like place and we broke open a cage. And this sets free the dysfunctional group known as the Teensies. After trying to decide who is the king, which I can't, they gave Rayman another silver lamp, giving him the ability to shoot balls out of his fists, which makes just as much sense as having detached limbs, but just let's roll with it. They send Rayman to the front, which is the whole world in this game. After being transported to the front, we will not go into the water in order to grab some lamps, and then we go into the water. Then, on land, Murphy says we need to use the scarecrow for learning the basics. And that's what we do. While we're at it, let's talk about the controls. We move using the left analog stick, we jump with the X button, We use our hair as a helicopter by pressing X mid-air. We attack with square. We check over the health and collect the boss with triangle. And we move the camera with L1 and R1 and stroke with L2. After getting inside the scarecrow, oh my! We go into the teensy circle, a place where portals to different worlds in the game will appear after you complete those levels. Neat! We then go to the fairy glade, where places Lea's held. After going past some of Globus' children who should really be captured at this point, Rayman goes into a pirate fortress, and after going to the bottom floor, he encounters Lee being held captive in a frame-dropping force field. After destroying the generator to this frame-dropping force field, Lee begins talking about Polycus. Rayman replies by saying that he does not know who that is. That's just stupid. Diving a little bit through the lore, we find that Polycus is kind of like the windfish. Oh, half of the windfish, not the waking up part. Yeah, and that basically means that Polycus is a god. Rayman not knowing who he is does make sense on two fronts, one being that he's God, and the second being that they're crashing at his place in Origins. What is continuity anymore? But back to the story. Lee says that he is for some reason sleeping, and the only way to wake him is by giving 4 masks. Then we go do that, but not before Lee gives us the power to swing on purple lumps, like the ones in the first game. With every ability from the first game, except the air licking, which got deleted back then, so yay, we press forward. After falling down and landing conveniently in place the air currents, well, I don't know, we rescue a teensy with a silly hat from a cage. These kinds of teensies make portals back to the teensy circle after you have smashed certain cages at the end of each level. Convenience. After that, we're told to go to the bayou to rescue Bzzzt, so that he can be used as a boat engine. But before we go there, we head over to the magic well. In other versions of the game, we use lumps to get past door, keeping us away from the other levels. In this version, we buy abilities using these. The abilities we gain in story events in this version are different. Every silver lump we acquire, except the one the Teensies gave us, will grant us a power boost. This will make the purple pirate, which when we first fight takes 6 hits to kill, will only take about 1 hit by the end of the game. We then head over to the bayou, but not before me talking about how good the soundtrack is. It's phenomenal. Most of the tracks that play is very atmospheric, which means that the music that plays in each area works very well. There is the fact that many of the tracks aren't something you'll hum to when walking, for example, but the atmospheric part is nailed, so I really don't care. But back to our story once more. We're treated with a cutscene featuring a small robot called Razorbird. Yes, Razorbird. We're treated with a cutscene featuring a small robot called Razorbeard, which is the captain of this crew of Rusties. He exploded the heart of the world, and you know why he did it? He just wanted to eat! We headed to the bayou, and then we rescued Bzzzt. They go onwards, and the end of the level is there. After that we used the Bzzzt power boat to go to the Lost Island, which is also known as the Sanctuary of Water and Ice. We step on the island, take out some pirates and place some orbs on some pedestals. After generous lump collecting, we end up in space! It's a trap! After sliding down a slide and missing 1 lump, because of course we have to do that again, we fight against the boss. Or to be more accurate, we fight against some ice above the boss by shooting that which kills the boss. Then we go further to discover the first mask, which opens up a beam coming out of Rayman's stomach. That's unique! When we grab the mask, we teleport to a place where this god is sleeping, but not really, since he's grabbing things, talking, and creating portals, so it's probably just lying to us. He sends us away before we get the chance to think about it hard enough, and we go towards a good pal clock so we can tear down some walls and then see to another hub world. But not before we go do some minigames for Lee! Since that is top priority, right? If you collect 10 familiar spirits, a minigame is accessible to you when you are going to a place in the hub world where Lee resides. You collect a certain amount of red lumps, and when you beat the minigame, your maximum health increases by a little bit. In the originals, there were no minigames, so it's just there to extend some game time and such. Most of them are kinda good, but they're really unnecessary compared to how most other versions handle it. Our destination is Glowbox's house, a hoverworld who's got its own Teensy Circle, Magic Well, and Lee area. Unfortunately, there's a wall in between which was built recently according to the Teensy back in the Minisaurus plane, even though we could have gone there in the beginning of the level. I wonder what the conversation went on like.
We need to build a wall.
We need our man, Clark, to destroy the wall.
Wait for me!
We head into Manor Hills, and after taming a walking rocket like a horse, we see Clark, who is dying. That sucks. He says we need to go to the Cave of Bad Dreams, which is located within the Marshes of Awakening. So we need to go there and get the life potion, but we'll have to go to a new level in order to go back. It seems kinda weird, but it's actually not like it at all. Back in the first hub world, there was a level next to the Bayou, the Marshes of Awakening. Our objective was to go to the Bayou, so I never went to the Marshes of Awakening. And the location for the Cave of Bad Dreams is not where it was in the other versions. It's in fact at the end of the level, while in most other versions, it's at the start. It doesn't make much sense why they changed it, but seeing that each level has more of a reason to go to instead of just passing by until the mask levels, it's probably safe to assume that you have a reason to go to the levels. For example, Visit wasn't in the originals. You only went through the Bayou in order to go to a sanctuary of water and ice. But since the change was made, they put the Cave of Bad Dreams at the end, meaning that there is no reason to go to the marshes before the Manor Hills. And when we arrive, we rescue Sam, who carries us over the marshes by grabbing his scarf and basically water skiing. And after that, the game freezes. And we say goodbye. Yay! Then we return only to discover that Sam is very lonely, and we abandon him. And by collecting everything, we'll never return to this place again. Woo! We free the Teensy inside the cage, but we search the cave only to find— Ah! Kill him with fire! This is the thing called Jano, and he committed the most horrendous sin imaginable. He's the first nightmare that God had. Oh, the Thingmanity! He teleports us into the Cave of Bad Dreams, but he warns us that if he catches up to you, he will show Rayman no mercy. Well, that's a motivator. The Cave of Bad Dreams is a purplish cave filled with skulls, has to bring you into the void, and Jano's children. After doing an ore puzzle, we encounter Jano. And you remember how he would show us no mercy? Well, he crawls out of the floor, begins chasing us in a sliding section with the camera being inside his mouth! Which sadly in this version it does not do. And makes a platforming challenge where the platform moving skulls over the abyss! Neat times 9,000. Am I cool yet? After doing all of that, we arrive at a treasure room filled with gold doubloons. Jano gives us two options. Either we take the treasure or we do not. And since we are the hero story, we'll do the right thing and take the treasure! However, this game treats this as the wrong decision, which transports us to an island in the middle of nowhere with a fat and rich Rayman. But the game says it's the end of the game, so see you next time we will do King. If you choose not to take anything, then you get something. The elixir of life, which is needed to save Clark. We leave, and to be frank, this is not the scariest level in the game. I just wanted you to know. Just so I get the word out, this is the first time you can go to a bonus area. If you get every Lemon cage in the level, you're sent to a place where you button mash X and circle in order to race to the finish as a blue baby abomination to get a prize at the end. Your spoils are just about always the golden fist. It basically makes your attack 3 times stronger for the remainder of 3 hits. After that, you lose it. And why do I bring it up? Because the Marshes of Awakening is the only level for quite a while that you're actually 100% on your first run of the level. This wouldn't really be that big of an issue, except when you think about it, it's like of how the originals were like. You get 100% to most levels in your first run in those versions. But this version does things differently. It's not too big of a problem, since it incorporates one or two new mechanics, which we'll talk more about later on, but it also makes 100%ing this version seem more like a chore. We make our way through the Manor Hills a second time. After almost losing the Golden Fist immediately, we return to Clark so we can give him the elixir. We do just that. And Clark is back on his feet, ready to break down walls another day. After one last walking rocket ride, which I will refer to as the shell from now on since that's what it's called, we end the level and hope that Clark doesn't get sick ever again. We heard from the Teensy that Glowbox is being held captive in the canopy. The pirates really brought him a distance if he was captured in the vicinity of the Woods of Light, and managed to build a wall before we got to the Minosaurus plane. After using a shell conveniently placed outside of Manor Hills, we go to the canopy, a place stuck in outer map. Ah! You! I have a story to tell you. This spider is one of the worst parts of the game. He likes to get up close and personal, and when he attacks, he sends you flying as long as you are a little bit in the air. And since you want to dodge the spider, it can be a bit troublesome. I got a game over trying to take him down. I don't know how I couldn't. Probably a mixture between recording curse and bullshittery, but just you wait, because I'll talk more about it later. We see Mr. Abomination stuck in a cave/cell, and after we freed him, we see a level mechanic, Rain Dance. We progress to the first pirate after we've let Glowbox out, and he's afraid? Why? He's beat black balls with one eye to a pulp. So why is it different there? Don't give me that bullshit about release dates. I don't care if the game's called Origins, but it's placed earlier in the timeline. After Rayman says he wants more power, Glowbox remembers that he had another silver run, which increases Rayman's strength by 3 times. This doesn't make sense. He didn't meet Lee after the prison ship. He couldn't have. They were held at 2 separate locations, and Lee couldn't have given to him later since Glowbox was still captured. There are 2 options for this to make sense. Either Lee gave him a silver lump after Fairyglade and didn't release him since Rayman was along the path and Lee didn't want to see his blueness, or Glowbox possessed the silver lump all along, which doesn't mean he's not only incompetent, since he wanted to be captured in order to give Rayman some silver lumps and forgot that he had 2. But it also means that a spider could have died instead of like having me running like a pussy with feet. Which leads us into the part I stopped at before. In our versions, the spiders are quite a lot weaker. However, due to how Rayman's strength increases by just every silver lump in this version, then it would take at that point 18 hits to kill, which is difficult when you need to dodge but get tossed into the abyss. If Glowbox didn't have a goldfish's memory card, we might have actually killed the spider in 6 hits. But enough. Just enough. After taking off the change in the system, I'll just give this game 2 or 4 XD. We get to the end of the level, where the pirate mistakes Glowbox for a big-nosed bush. It doesn't even have a nose! Oh wait, he meant me? Oh, that's just offensive! After rescuing the Teensy at the end of the level, Glowbox says he can't come along with us since he wants to see his girlfriend, Aglet, which is a pink abomination. Call me harsh, but if your name's Aglet, then your parents fucked up real good. And really, like, why doesn't Glowbox come with us? The Teensy Circle is right next to her. Hell, even the Hogwarts is called Glowbox's house. Seriously, how big of a retard is he? After all those questions has been answered, wow, we need Carmen the Whale to get to another sanctuary. This sanctuary is guarded by tentacle hentai, so we can use whales. However, she's being held captive in Whale Bay due to reasons. During our trip to Whale Bay, we recruit the small abomination for espionage. Sadly, this is the only time in the game where we do such a thing. Sad. Immediately after entering Whale Bay, we are introduced to the barrel pirate. Okay, bye. Due to a golden fist, we are able to take him out with 2 shots. And I hope I'm not the only one here who thinks what I'm about to say. This was the scariest enemy to me as a child. I don't know why. I guess having the Eyes of Incognito doesn't help. And I still feel a little weirded out. It's not a hard of enemy to beat. Everything you need is the rate of fire upgrade and you'll be fine. Oh, and just to mention, this is the first level to include the Golden Fist mid-level instead of in the bonus area. Neat! After rescuing Carmen, we travel to a place with a stranded pirate ship. I don't know why it's there. It's probably there for decoration. In fact, it's so weird that this would be the sanctuary of what are nice in the PS1 version. But that doesn't mean that it's a positive thing. But we'll talk more about it when the time is of a review of that version comes out. Something and then the end of the level. Yay! Now that they have the means to bypass the tentacle head type, we get to see the natural popping of whales. Boop! Of course, we're quite late due to Fetta's abomination, but what can you do? Next up is the second mask level, the Sanctuary of Stone and Fire. A level I quite like, and it's probably one of the more longer levels in the game. Not only are there clever secrets, but also a quote-unquote alternate pathway. Yay! The reason I said that in such a way is that it doesn't take you closer to the end of the level or something. It's basically another map where it's called Rumps and Cages, and I really like that. This is the only time we see something handled like this. Something I adore. I don't know how to put it. This is the level that we are met with Mr. Plum, making a return from the first game. This thing was introduced way back in the first game, where you would ride on land or on water to reach other power-ups, cages, or the end of the level. This time, however, it resists lava. I wonder how someone can eat that. You'll probably swallow it, and after 5 minutes it'll just come out of the rear end with most organs in your body. But it's just a theory. A theory. Thanks for watching! After progressing through a part of the level, we are met with a beautiful scenery, and lo and fall! We fall into some cave-like place with a lava river. And this is basically your puzzle from the last island, just 3 to 4 times longer. This is the point where I begin to wonder if the pirates actually have been in here. My way in is concealed until we step upon it, but there are cages in here, so the pirates must have been here. Is the reason for concealing it to keep Rayman away? That they can't get the mask because either Rayman or maybe some other living thing would have gotten it? It would explain why they put the orbs in reinforced houses way back in the Lost Island instead of putting orbs on the pedestal and glowing in themselves. But why don't guard the masks with enough spiders so that we frame drop out of existence? We probably have enough, just needs some help from the lazy rock to create an entire army. The more I think about it, it seems more more clever and stupid at the same time. If they just kept Rayman away because they couldn't, why didn't they kill Rayman early on, which would lead to powerhouses like Clark to be left for dead and probably make the world fall into even more chaos? I don't want to think about it anymore, so let's end that discussion. After placing the orbs on the pedestals, we get treated by the boss Umber, which requires uttermost precision in order to land on his head, which makes it walk into lava. Who designed this shit? Then Mask, then Polkas, then Hubworld. Done. Clark breaks down another wall, and behind it we find the terrors of robo-pirate invaders. After a while of jumping and shooting, we arrive at the third and final hub world of this game, Rainbow Creek. After chatting with the teens in the stone circle, we found out that the way to the land sanctuary is blocked by some force field. There are 2 generators supplying power, and those reside within the precipice and the Echoing Caves. Echoing Caves is closed off due to some laser gate, so the only one we can do right now is the precipice. get another Razorbeard cutscene, which in my case is the one time either the audio or the scene fucked up, since there was a big delay, which meant that I couldn't hear all what they had to say. And now we start talking about the big change in the system. In the other versions, we would have had the Echoing Caves first. However, we play a part of the Echoing Caves in the Precipice. Why is that? You see, if we compare the stage order, the levels inside of the levels, to the originals, then we would have had Precipice 1, Precipice 3, Echoing Caves 2, and Echoing Caves 3. While comparing it to the original Echoing Caves, we would have had Precipice 2, Echoing Caves 1, and Top of the World 2. What's interesting about the last one is that in the originals, there was a level named the Top of the World. And even though the Top of the World one isn't among these, there's still a way to access it. You remember the chair minigame where you would collect 20 lumps in order to increase your maximal health? That used to be the Top of the World 1. The reason to why they cut it is probably if you use the whole Marsh's reasoning. They probably wanted just to give another reason for going to every single level. But that also ruins something, at least to me. The Precipice is my favorite level. And why is that? It's the fact you can never stop. Razorbeard has sent one of his warships after you, and he is bombing an entire obstacle course moving over the bottomless pit. Combine that with the music, and the level is amazing. But since they changed the stage order, then we don't get a chase level like this one. It just becomes a normal level which is divided in half. Of course the level's still fine, but you know, the level gimmick, it's gone now, and well, that sucks. After reaching the end of Precipice Not Precipice, we destroy one of the two generators while facing off against either ninjas or one of his ninja henchmen. And yes, I'm serious, the ninja pirates are referred to those names in the PS1 version, but just let us save this game. We'll do that review at a later time. After returning to the teensy circle, we are told abruptly that some kids are doing slave labor in the pirate mines.
That's no good.
The pirate mines are a somewhat new area in this version, and by somewhat I mean that they cut a part of the level and pasted it here as a standalone level. This used to be part of a level called the Iron Mountains. Long count shows that this is a really short level. Progressing into it shows that Uglet's babies are doing the slave labor I just told you about a few seconds ago. This introduces a new mechanic for about 3 to 5 minutes. We get to control one of the warships. This might sound cool on paper, but it's boring as shit. After rescuing every kid around, we get rewarded by the rain mask. And this is a new change in the system. You know what I'm getting at. Just so you know, this thing allows you to do the rain dance, which allows you to go to the Echoing Caves. Except that instance, there's no real use for it story-wise. It's basically become a backtracking tool. We can now enter the Echoing Caves, not Echoing Caves. After doing some precipices, we turn some switches on and head into a fortress. This kinda makes you wonder, you're not in any K at all in this version. They kinda shot themselves in the foot while making this, didn't they? Yeah. After going into the fortress, we've basically entered Barrel Kingdom. There are 3 barrel pirates here, but if you kept the golden fist, they'll break down after a couple of charged shots. As I've said before, the barrel pirates were the second scariest enemy in the game, so I stopped playing at this point. I eventually made it through the level and I had no idea about a certain tomb. You kill pirates, destroy a generator, kill a ninja henchman, and leave. Now we shall go to the lava sanctuary, but first we have to go through some pirate research station, fortress or whatever. After encountering the 2 only zombie pirate thingamajiggies in the game, we rescue someone I can only assume to be one of the many glowbox finders. She's apparently been experimented on by using a new weapon, and then boss Spirit Tank is revealed, which is the spawn of a barrel pirate and an Octorok. You step on some switches to activate the cannon and blow it the fuck up. After that's dealt with, we go to what's apparently the marshes. I would comment on why it doesn't make any sense, but then again, if you go down a well a few meters, you go to some place where it doesn't look like it should be very low, so at least in terms of the game, it's consistent. After traversing the Bayou 2.0, we see a place which looks like a mask place. Neat. After fighting against Difference 9000, we explore more of the area. After getting to the end, however, we discover that this is not a mask place. Apparently, this is beneath the Lava Sanctuary. And to correct I said, it doesn't make sense at all. In the originals, we had names reversed, which means that we would have gone through the Lava Sanctuary by now. But since this is now beneath, that does not only mean that we have been one floor below the mask this entire time, but also we have reality warping powers. And what do I mean by that? After coming to the end of beneath, the teensy opens the door, leading us into the supposed floor above. But when we get to the other side, we jump down to some ledge in the pirate factory, and after the rest we traverse even more down. So apparently up is down and down is up. And only now we just need Riku from a cage to open it, going upside down in a set of stairs. Logic! After getting down the floor up, we are greeted by Lee. She's here to give us a new power, which is not considering we had in Rayman 1, but I'll shut up now. Or not. She gives us unlimited flight. Kinda breaks the game, don't you think, though? After testing out this new ability for a few minutes, we reach a chamber of some kind, and Rayman behind you! Oh! God damn it. This is Fouch, the guardian of this mask, and thanks to him, we've lost our ability to fly infinitely. It just makes this mechanic pointless, doesn't it? Ugh. Well, after accidentally fighting him, we not only collect the third mask, but we also get the lost power back. Sorta. If we use our helicopter here over a pit of lava, then we have unlimited flight. This is also a new thing introduced in Revolution. I can think of 3 times we can use this thing, and only one of them is in a situation where it's required. After physically lazy ass over here, we proceed stuff. And now we must go to a place called the Tomb of the Ancients, which is located right past the pool of lava. We are treated with another race bear cutscene, and I must say that this is the creepiest level in the game. Not only does it look kinda scary, but the music and sound effects are really creepy. And since this is a horror level, we must have the goddamn spider! At this point in the game it's not that bad, but there are several of them. There's even a place where the spiders spawn infinitely. And there's even a small spider variation, which are much less annoying when I'm actually thinking about it. Shush. However, there are bats in this level. At this point we haven't encountered them before, but I'll talk more about them now. They are annoying and it can be very difficult to hit them. That's not good, but do you know what's good? The secrets in this level, and my god, there's a lot of them. Let's start with the first and most interesting. You remember the lump that Razorbeard ate all the way back in the bayou? There's a secret at the end of the first stage. After climbing up the web, you go to the left corner, glide all the way past until you got past the fake wall. There are lumps here. If this wasn't the PS2 version, then you could encounter my 1000 lump, getting the total number back to 1000. This part contains lumps in this version, which makes it that the developers want you here. But in the PS1 version, it's all part of cut up. I don't like how everything is cut up in the version, but I need to shut up. The second secret is an alternate pathway, but it's not really a secret, so there's really no need to talk about it. But the third one is at the end of the tomb, right before the sliding pirate door, you can see a hole in the wall. To my knowledge, this is a secret you can only access in a Dreamcast version by typing in a code which spawns a wooden box, but I'm quite unsure. Well, that was until I went on the 3DS version, because for reasons I have it, and yeah, quite some sites, but I'm lazy. No editing for you. And after all of that, you go through the sliding door at the end to reveal Clark. However, he's being mind-controlled by the loser robot. Prick! After shooting Clark's back, he's turned to normal, and he lets us know that something's behind the door. After going inside, he reveals two things. The 1000 lamp, which has moved to this location, and the best add-on in the game, the Lum Radar. This magnet-shaped item reveals the general direction of any lum within the stage. This makes backtracking so much easier, so it's at this point you should be really backtracking from. I personally like to wait until the final level to do it, so I'll do it then. Now Clark's out of his prison. He can go destroy as many walls as he pleases, with the first one being the one leading into the Iron Mountains. After combating a few pirates, we go to a hot air balloon. After a double loading screen, we see a robot chicken. That's when we go inside a pirate fort where a shell resides. After flicking a couple of switches, we proceed to a difference 1 million. This is a boss called Grolem 13, and this is the fight in where Rayman uses his inner potential to recover his flying ability, even though for just this part. After taking this guy down, we acquire the 4th mask, thus completing our collection. We are transported to Paul Lucas's place, so like always, we have reached the end of the journey. Now we can sit down and wait. Since Polkas is lazy, he won't go after a prison ship. This is because his powers apparently don't work in the air. I think that he's kinda wrong, because you would think that his power could work up there since he's God. But sadly no. But surely his power should work up there. Considering that both his status and the source of his powers, which is the lumps, he could do the rest of the job. In fact, when we must go back to the prison ship, our powers are still fine. I know this is an excuse used to make Rayman do the final level, but surely there could have been an easier explanation. And after Polkas gives us maximum energy, which I don't think it impacts us in any way at all, he sends us on our way. And this is the time we start 100%ing every level until now. You will need all the power-ups. For low build, we have to water some plants. There's even a mushroom which you can use the Ray mask on in order to make it grow. And when you eat it, you shrink down. Kind of like the shrink fairies from the first game. But unlike the first game, we see this thing only once. And this is an add-on for Revolution. Why is it included? Don't get me wrong, it's something nice to watch, but literally no reason. And you know, everything you get for revisiting levels and getting every collectible are some mini games and some extended health. Because you have you don't need 1000 lumps to get every power up. Nice. I did this because of obligation. If I'm going to review a game or make a let's play, I want to collect everything. I may not show off everything like with extra mini games, but at least I got that 100% on my save files to show. Something that I noticed during recording footage was there was no actual music in most of the levels I revisited. And not only that, but there were either new enemy locations or less enemy locations. I just don't know if it's the work of the almighty maximum energy, but I just thought it was something worth mentioning. Yeah, we have 910 lumps and 79 cages, and it looks like the rest is on the prison ship. As we enter the biggest portal in the game, not including the one from the Woods of Light, a cutscene starts playing. Razorbeard is visited by a general, which after some research is a character from Tonic Trouble, which is a PC and N64 game. Since I haven't talked about it, I can always do it now. Rayman 2 wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for Tonic Trouble. Tonic Trouble was a game meant to test out a new engine, which would later be used for Rayman 2, since the developers from Rayman 1 didn't just want to move on to Rayman 2 without having any 3D experience, because Rayman 2 was supposed to be a 2D game, but because of Crash Bandicoot and Mario 64 and every other 3D game, they saw the potential. Thank God I did! You made a good game. If you're interested in how it turned out, you just need to collect about 90% of the lumps in the PS1 version to get the ability to play the original 2D beta or build of Rayman 2. That is the one of the two redeeming qualities of that version. But to stop myself from repeating myself, I shall stop. The general offers Razorbeard a giant robot known as the Grolgoth in exchange for some reasonable amounts of cash from Jano's bank account. Sadly, the Grolgoth doesn't do the dishes, but Razorbeard bought it anyways. Then the general leaves, and we cut back to Rayman. Somehow, there's a portal on the prison ship, don't ask me how, and we slow down what I can only describe as the outdoor regions of the prison ship. We see sails and there's wind sound effects in the background, so I'm gonna assume so. There's two different things I want to add. The first is the red background. I don't know why it's like this, like Breath of Batman the Animated Series Season 4. I guess it builds up atmosphere and such, but I've played other versions and it didn't have this kind of background. It was, more of a blacker tone of background. The second is that the level design in the starting part makes no sense no how. Who's the architect? I don't care who you are, but adding lava streams, buttons and spikes in the middle of an area which no pirate would have gone to is nonsensical. But then again, there was a portal area, so it was made to kill Rayman. If that's the scenario, it makes more sense, but why just destroy the portal? Make more easier than installing spikes. And if you are trying to kill Rayman, why just don't add buttons which saves the one of the like? I feel the power of common sense has left my body. After slowing to the end, we're going on foot. And after taking out a couple of red pirates, which I swear takes more hits than the normal red pirates, and then we flick a switch. And we are greeted with the sight of a shell. But this is a different color. What is this thing's deal? Oh my god. This is awesome! This thing flies through the air. It can be a little hard to control, but the concept of Rayman riding a flying missile is it's cool. Very cool actually. Good job, Ubisoft, good job! After flying for a bit, we arrive at the cells from the beginning of the game. After freeing mostly anyone, one of the teensies creates a portal back to Earth. We go back, but Glowbox is nowhere to be seen. After returning with the prisoners, we buy the last things from the magic well, which are only mini-games at this point, and we do the Ray type challenge. This is a challenge indeed. 3 lives, and shoot many things to collect red lamps. This may not sound difficult, but just try it yourself or maybe an emulator or something, because I personally discussed it. I used more than 10 minutes on this mini game, and in the others I used less than 1 minute. There are of course people who like this mini game, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, it's just how I feel about it. I wanted to get 100% done in this game, and you need to do this to get every single health upgrade. Of course, this means that I didn't do the optional minigames from the magic well, but it seems as though we're fully prepared, so let's go. At the other side of the bridge, from the teensy circle, we see many different things. For instance, we see that Clark has finally learned to face his whole body. If the teensies here had learned facing. But seriously though, is it really that hard to add a few solid and moving models? They don't say anything, but their appearance is half-assed at most. They stand around the flying shell, and when we jump on it, we'll be on our way to Razorbeard. We're taking our shell to the final level, which is the crow's nest of the prison ship. We see Razorbeard in the Grolgoth holding Glowbox hostage. If you really wanted, Rayman should have just shot Glowbox already. Rayman sets off to an elevator. Don't ask me why, he just do. And says to Razorbeard that he shall leave his friend alone. And that's what the Razorbeard doesn't do. He fires off a shot. Luckily, Rayman hangs on the edge. Unluckily, Glowbox, with the help of magnets, also hangs on. But at least he's all the way down there. And now, the final battle commences. We start off by firing at the brown pirate bombs, which suddenly are reflected by being fired at. Don't question it. Hit him 3 times with the bombs, and he loses someone's life. After repeating this, Razorbeard gets pissed and tries to jump on him, but unfortunately,
So I missed.
Razorbeard falls into the area below, and Rayman also falls in due to being lazy. The rocket stores lava, but is fortunately rescued by some energy ball made by Lee. The ball drops us off right next to a flying shell, and Lee through it says that what we already know. Razorbeard is bad, go bust the cap in his shiny metal ass. Then Lee leaves, leaving Rayman with a big robot-controlled robot dangling over the lava. Now it's time for round 2. Fight! What you need to do in order to damage him is to completely ignore him and go to an area with an energy ball which you can use to shoot at his hands. You shoot him at least once in each hand, and he will slip and fall into the lava. He may fire a projectile or raise the lava level occasionally, but avoid the projectile, so watch out for the lava level and you'll be fine. I just need to say this is a good boss. Only downside I can think of is if you crush the shell, your ass is booted back to the beginning of the second phase. I know it's a final boss, but I played this. I played other games where the character had more than basically just 1 HP. After sending him towards the lava for the last time, Razorbeard steps out of the Grogolf with a little surprise. The Grogolf has a self-destruct button, and the Razorbeard flees in a little flying saucer thingy. Majiggy in the shell, I guess, is tired, and Rayman pierces along with it. Back on Earth, just about everyone except Sam, Zit, and Jano are there to just be really sad and things. Everything left of Rayman is his shoe on Polkas's pedestal. However, the shoe starts reacting to something behind the trees. From behind the trees comes Rayman, and he's reunited with his shoe and friends, and the credits roll. If you're wondering about just how the hell Rayman got away from there, let's just say maximum energy and just be done with it. And you know, these are some nice credits, you know, with several people you never brought to the game, and what the fuck? So the game is over, and you probably want to know my opinion of certain things present in the game. And if you don't, then good for you! But if you do, then allow me to tell you about it. And this will be, of course, in comparison to other versions of this game. The gameplay. The gameplay is executed really well. This game is of course a 3D platformer, so you should have some good controls, and my god, this is some good controls. Most of the time I feel like I'm in control, and when I die, yeah, I mostly blame myself instead of the game. There are areas where I feel like I lose control, like the shell stages, of both types. It's not really an issue for the walking shell, since the level design isn't completely bad, and I only feel out of control when I boost. But the flying shells are a completely different beast. I don't hate them, but I really don't like them actually either. They are a blast, but if you have to really focus in order to keep in somewhat control, yeah, the words. I even missed a lump during a flying shell stage, which caused me to replay the entire level right after finishing it. And yeah, prison ship. But it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's still pretty annoying. But do you know what these things have in common with the overcoming gameplay? You evade shit like in the combat. I haven't talked about the platforming gameplay, but it's mostly like any other platformer. The only thing that's different is that you use your hair as a helicopter. And regular combat doesn't make sense since you shoot glowing energy balls out of your hands, but it doesn't bother me since Rayman's world doesn't have any known rules except, I don't know, gravity perhaps. Even in space! I know it's not space, but shut up! You shoot and dodge, and the latter being jumping and moving about, which is already a part of the core game. Of course you don't have many options, so you can't get repetitive. However, that would be the case if I was fighting them about 20 times in one level. Different enemies only take up a tiny percentage of the game, so it's never really a problem. So that's different kinds of gameplay. All work fine enough, and I know there are more flying kegs and slime levels, but there are spins on gameplay types, and you know, they don't work well enough. The frame rate. This is something I don't get. We have had many versions of Rayman 2 before Evolution, and each has been very different from the others. For example, the Dreamcast version of Rayman 2 has 60 frames per second. This is so smooth. I remember the time that this came out. I don't know if any other game at the time had 60 frames per second, and if you know, you can always type it in the comments about other games with 60 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 60 frames per second, blah blah blah. But this must have been somewhat mind-boggling at the time. Or not. However, this wouldn't last, since Revolution cuts the frame rate about half, lowering down to 30 frames per second. This wouldn't be too big of a problem since it was a PS2 game, but since the lag can be real at areas, I need to have asset a bit of this. This only occurs at places where I need to load in many assets, and this, yeah, like a place with many pirates, or some of the earlier hub worlds. And since I feel those were not made with the frame rate in mind, I just need to say it's an issue. Like, if the drop in frame rate does not take that much away from the experience, but it's still an issue. But I don't know exactly if it's due to the disc or just generally the game, because I played it around it on the emulator recently, and like at least the first levels, and it didn't really like that much. No, it's probably just the disc. So don't say anything. Just type in the comments what how it's supposed to be. Just please. The new content. New content in Rayman 2's different version is nothing new. You have the extra secrets, the Goldbox's Village and Isle of Doors in the Dreamcast. You have the original beta for Rayman 2D in PS1, and the list goes on. Rayman 2 Revolution certainly adds new content and even tweaks some things on the graphical level. For example, some of the original models were 2D, but Revolution changes those into 3D models, making the objects blend a little better with the game. It doesn't stop there. You have the hub worlds, which, while a nice addition, has some flaws. One travel along the path, but scenery changes so fast. What I mean by that is that you may be about 10 to 20 meters above sea level, but by going through a small tunnel and just a little bit up, you're suddenly high up in the mountains. This example is from the Rainbow Creek. If the idea of a hub world in Rayman 2 is revisited in the future, then you probably need to make the hub world make a little more sense. The new kill system is kind of both nice and unnecessary. Even though I like some of the minigames, they seem kind of tacked on. I feel they should be optional, but yeah, that's just me. But then we have the Rain Mask and the Lumb Radar. The Rain Mask is just there for being able to enter one level and one level only. Sure, you use it to get a few collectibles from previous levels, but other than that, there's no purpose. Hell, even in the canopy, right after your free glow box, there's a sign which says the glow box used this rain dance offensively. I wouldn't harp on it too much if Rayman used the Rain Mask in the similar way, with some limitations, mind you, like not being able to damage anyone except the pirates or something like that. The Lumb Radar is the best thing from Revolution though. It makes it easier to get all 1000 lumps, and with the backtracking the Rain Mask levels, it relieves some of the stress certain people can make, aka me. You also have the helicopter of lava thing, which is a neat concept, but compared to the Lumb Radar, it's useless and it's only there to serve the purpose of entering a level and backtracking for collectibles. The Magic Well is a neat concept, and considering how most of the lumps are of the straight route from point A to point B, it should really be hard to not. It wouldn't be hard to have every power up at the end of the game. The level order. This is a topic which may be for better or worse, but in my case, it's mixed. Remember when I told you about the Marshals of Awakening wasn't required to play through before acquiring the first mask? That will make sense, and I like how they did it, since the area has a real purpose for the required point in time. But when you have the areas in between the second and third mask, the precipice, precipice is the best level, in my opinion, of course. And to see it split into different pieces makes me annoyed at the least. Due to the level order changing, the original level game makes are split into 2 different levels. 3 if you count the chair minigame, so in conclusion... The voice acting. This does not go into the new content topics in Rayman 2 for PS1 did that already. Rayman Revolution's voice acting. It's an alright cast choice and everything. Okay, I haven't looked at the cast, but shush. By that I mean that it was far from terrible, but still not close to the good shit. The choices were somewhat good. For example, when I see a teensy, I expected to have a light and somewhat silly voice and not so like broody and dark voice. And in comparison to Rayman 2 PS1, it's way better. In PS1, some characters like Rayman himself sounds like really bored and not like with us anymore. He's dead. He's dead.
Rayman?
Glowbox! My friend!
In Revolution, however, many of the voices are getting a little bit more emotion.
Not
Rayman?
And while PS2 Rayman sounds like he's really happy to see his friend, PS1 Rayman sounds more like a dyslexic guy reading from a skip. And it's about time I wrap this up. As I said before, this game is one of my favorites, and hopefully you see why I like it. I know the frame rate can be a tad annoying, among other things, but these are simple things which can be mostly overlooked, since it doesn't take that much away from the experience. This game doesn't get a 10 out of 10, but that just means that the game isn't perfect. It still has some flaws, like any other game in existence. If I had to give it a score, I'd say I'd get a 9 or 9.5 out of 10. I highly believe that this is a good start for getting into Rayman, or just take this as someone who's never played the newer side-scrollers. But if you're just looking for some Rayman 3D goodness, then I recommend this one. You can find this game on way too many consoles, but if you're looking for Revolution, then it's either the PS2 or the PlayStation Store on the PS3. As long as you live in the US, which I don't, so I can't play this on the PS3. Bye!